She was a dancer once, full of life, until an accident took everything, leaving her with a shattered leg and a future in ruins. He was a humble mechanic, barely scraping by. But when he saw her pain, something inside him sparked. With nothing but scrap metal and determination, he built her a prosthetic. Little did he know that simple act of kindness would change both their lives forever. Because the next morning, a helicopter arrived, bringing with it a life-altering opportunity. In the small rural town of Brookridge, Kentucky, life moved slow. Everyone knew everyone, and secrets rarely lasted more than a day. At the corner of Cedar and Maple Street sat Joe's Auto Repair, a dusty garage with a rusted roof and a crooked sign. But what the shop lacked in glamour, it made up for in soul. Joe Miller, 34, was the town's go-to mechanic. He wasn't rich, but he had magic in his hands and grease under his fingernails. He lived modestly, fixing up old trucks, tractors, and the occasional lawnmower. Joe was a quiet man, a little rough around the edges, but his heart was gold. Every Sunday after church, he'd tinker with scrap metal, welding art pieces no one ever saw, creating gadgets no one ever asked for. It wasn't about money, it was about purpose. Something deep inside Joe longed to do something bigger. He just didn't know what. One chilly October morning, as Joe opened the garage, a squeaky van pulled up. Out stepped a frail woman with salt and pepper hair and kind eyes. In the passenger seat was a girl, no older than 23, in a wheelchair. Her name was Emily Carter. She had lost her leg 2 years ago in a tragic accident. A drunk driver had swerved into the wrong lane. Emily had been an aspiring dancer, full of fire and grace. After the accident, everything changed. Her father passed away soon after from a stroke, and her mother, Martha, did her best to care for her. But money was tight. They couldn't afford a proper prosthetic leg. Medicaid had failed them, and every clinic turned them away. Joe watched them from a distance as Martha struggled to unload the wheelchair. Something about Emily's eyes pulled him in. There was pain there, but also a spark. Something familiar. Later that afternoon, Martha returned alone. "I know this is strange," she said, biting her lip, "but could you weld something?" Joe raised an eyebrow. "A car part?" "No," she whispered. "A leg." Joe had never made a prosthetic before, but that night he didn't sleep. He lay in bed thinking of hinges, balance, torque. By morning, he was sketching designs on napkins and old invoices. He scavenged the junkyard, pulled apart discarded bikes, wheelchairs, even gym equipment. Every evening, Emily and Martha would visit. Emily was skeptical at first. "You're a mechanic," she said flatly, "not a doctor." Joe didn't argue. He just kept working. For 2 weeks, he shaped and reshaped. He custom-built a carbon steel and aluminum frame, adding soft rubber joints and an adjustable ankle. He made mistakes. He started over. But Joe never gave up. Emily watched him closely. Slowly, her skepticism turned to curiosity, then to hope. On a windy Friday afternoon, Joe gently placed the finished leg in front of her. "It's not perfect," he said, voice low, "but it's yours." Joe had never made a prosthetic before, but that night he didn't sleep. He lay in bed thinking of hinges, balance, torque. By morning, he was sketching designs on napkins and old invoices. He scavenged the junkyard, pulled apart discarded bikes, wheelchairs, even gym equipment. Every evening, Emily and Martha would visit. Emily was skeptical at first. "You're a mechanic," she said flatly, "not a doctor." Joe didn't argue. He just kept working. For 2 weeks, he shaped and reshaped. He custom-built a carbon steel and aluminum frame, adding soft rubber joints and an adjustable ankle. He made mistakes. He started over. But Joe never gave up. Emily watched him closely. Slowly, her skepticism turned to curiosity, then to hope. On a windy Friday afternoon, Joe gently placed the finished leg in front of her. "It's not perfect," he said, voice low, "but it's yours." Martha took a photo. Just one. Emily in the garage, wearing the homemade prosthetic, smiling with tears in her eyes. She posted it on a local Facebook group with a simple caption, "This man gave my daughter her life back. God bless Joe Miller." In 2 days, the post had 40,000 shares. News vans started showing up. People donated. Some sent parts. Others sent letters. Joe didn't understand what the big deal was. "I just did what I could," he told a reporter. But the world thought otherwise. On the third morning after the post went viral, a thunderous sound shook the sleepy town. A black helicopter landed in the empty football field next to Joe's garage. Men in suits stepped out, and then came Dr. Vanessa Brigham, CEO of Neurotech Prosthetics, one of the most advanced prosthetics companies in the world. She had seen the video. She had read the post. She asked to meet Joe. They walked the garage together. Joe was nervous, hands trembling, but Vanessa was gentle. "This is incredible work," she said, inspecting the prosthetic. "Do you realize what you've done with just scrap metal and elbow grease?" Joe shrugged. "I just wanted her to walk again." Vanessa looked him dead in the eye. "We want to offer you a job." "No, scratch that. We want to partner with you. Help us build affordable prosthetics for people who can't afford them. We'll fund everything. You'll lead the design." Joe's mouth opened, then closed again. Emily stood nearby, smiling through tears. Joe agreed. He didn't move to a big city. He stayed in Brookridge. Neurotech built a lab next to his garage and hired local welders, machinists, and engineers. They called it the Hope Lab. Emily became a full-time mobility ambassador, speaking across the country about accessible design. She even started dancing again, slow, careful movements, but everyone full of purpose. Joe built over 120 prosthetics in the first year, each one free, each one a symbol of second chances. One day, Joe found a letter taped to his old tool bench. It was from Emily. "Dear Joe, you didn't just build me a leg. You built me a future. When the world turned its back, you didn't flinch. You taught me that heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they wear coveralls and smell like motor oil. Thank you. Love, Emily." 2 years later, Joe was invited to the White House, honored for innovation in humanitarian engineering. He didn't wear a suit. He wore jeans and his old flannel. In his speech, he said, "I'm just a mechanic from a small town. But sometimes when you put your heart into something, even if you don't know what you're doing, you can change a life, maybe even a few more." The crowd gave him a standing ovation. Thank you for watching and supporting the channel by liking and subscribing. Stay tuned for the next video.